how I don't know
Okay.
how like
Did you
oh,
watch the debate, or did you come
no,
here
I didn't
without?
watch the
All right. Did you read the thread I linked you, or did you not?
thread that you linked to me.
Yes, I linked you a thread that we've written in response to the original clip of him being racist.
Okay, let me
It's
see.
about the Matt Walsh thing.
Where did you send me the link?
I replied it to you on Twitter. I have too many notifications. You'll have to go find it yourself.
On Twitter. Let me see. Is it in the Twitter thread or?
Yes, it's in the Twitter thread. Are you gonna find it?
Okay, is it okay? The raging Hitlerite liberal Hunter Avallone, who became a liberal after being dominated and domesticated by Jabba the Vosh, is showing his social Darwinist Mendelian racialism. Your society isn't better because you mass produce Funko Pops and can freely access Reddit and yada yada yada. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's the thread that we make as a response to his statement, responding to the original post.
Mm-hmm. And what
Okay,
does Hunter say? Okay.
so what's your response to this? Like, why did you come here?
Well, okay. Let me Oh, okay. I've seen this clip of Hunter reacting to Matt Walsh's documentary concerning the Matt wanted to get input from a
From a
from a
Messiah tribe, yeah.
yeah yeah I can see how somebody can initially see this and think that Hunter may hold some animosity
He does.
towards no, I mean like the wording is
No,
spicy,
no, no,
but
no, no. He proved that he does in our debate.
well, okay, then catch me up to speed on the debate. What did he say exactly that indicated that he's racist?
Um, a lot of the debate was basically him coping about definitions, saying that the definition of primitive, etc., basically makes it so that he cannot be racist. Later on, he went back on that statement by saying that nothing is objective and everything is subjective. So no set definitions really exist for things. Although his whole argument for not being racist was that he was, by definition, or by some definition, using a term in a non-racist way. Second, he basically argued that he wasn't necessarily putting them in a context where they exist in the past, because they don't. They exist in the present. They exist in this time that we do now, because he called them archaic in the beginning.
Hmm.
But then later on, he went back on that by essentially um, saying that other societies are more contemporary, implying that they exist in the past, which was the whole thing he was denying. And
Well,
he assumed that, well, he assumed so many things about them. He knows very little about like how Maasai people actually even live. Um, but regardless, um, his whole like the whole linchpin of his argument essentially is that the implication of primitivism implies three things basically: that one, there exists a hierarchy; two, that he's higher on this hierarchy than them; and three, that there is a objective standard to which uh, people quote evolve or evolution happens, or like this hierarchy judges compare societies. And he was not able to defend any of these. He just like ran away from them directly by like citing definition games again that he went back on later on, of course, um, etc. And later on, he decided to use an example where he brings in aliens and he compares aliens to humans, which is a stupid example because we're talking about people. Um, I mean, setting that aside, he specifically used the term superior societies. Superior. I mean, Leftists play this thing where it's like, I don't know if are you a leftist
I don't know.
or a liberal?
Generally, I generally consider myself a liberal. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. It's the same shit. Anyways,
Okay.
basically, leftists, liberals, they play these mental gymnastics where it's like, I have to like psych out everyone and like read between the lines of everything they say, and oh, I have to catch the dog whistles, play detective and my little magnifying glass, and observe every statement with every tone inflection and everything. That whenever someone who's a right winger says something racist, they apply that mode of thinking to them. But whenever it's one of their own who's being racist, they completely just ignore it. They just pretend to be blind and not see anything.
Uh, oh, okay. Even if I were to grant all that, what you're saying is true, I'm still having a bit of a tough time finding the racist connection here. I will for one admit that I don't really know particularly all that much, about this tribe or their customs, beliefs, or traditions or anything like that. Um, I wouldn't put it past Hunter to believe that that we do live in a world that is filled with like all types of hierarchies, whether it's socioeconomic hierarchies, racial hierarchies, or whatnot. Not to say that those types of hierarchies are valid or biologically ingrained or anything like that. But um, I don't know. I'm just having a tough
Wait,
time
did you not say
seeing.
like racial hierarchies? In what sense?
No, I mean like that uh, that there's while there's nothing that there's no indication of some sort of biological superiority between like Europeans or Africans or Asians or whatever, but seeing as how we live in a very much dominated uh, uh,
Huh.
would it be fair to say that that the Europeans do have a, substantial amount of power and influence around the world that we live in?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to allude to anything sort of like
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
white people are biologically superior. No, yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Proceed.
Yeah. No, but like again, like I'm just really having a tough time trying to connect the dots here to see like how this all connects to showing how Hunter has some kind of animosity, towards a group of people just based
Oh,
on their race.
he definitely does. Yeah. Yeah. He say for example, like he doesn't know anything about Maasai people, but he just kind of like concluded that they must live in like this. Say for example, for argument's sake, let's just say that these are people who still haven't discovered fire. They have had zero contact or limited, very little contact with people outside. And we somehow get an interview of one of them or whatever, and then they say their thoughts on the rest of the world, etc. Right?
Hmm.
That still doesn't imply that their statement is invalid. He is using the perception of their quote technological advance to dismiss away their critique of social structures that exist outside of their environment. Fundamentally, what he was
Uh,
saying there is that their critique is invalid because they are mud hut tribes, mud hut people, etc. Or not critique, sorry, their observations or whatever. It's, critique, whatever,
okay. Um,
entirely dismissed analysis of differing social structures based on perceptions of primitiveness or whatever.
okay. Have you seen the Matt Walsh documentary?
No, I've only seen that scene. I know their
Okay, yeah.
general conceit.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I've never seen the documentary either, but I'm somewhat familiar with Matt Walsh's
Yeah, he's a
political.
retard. Yes, he's a retard.
Yeah, so the whole this whole escapade that Matt went on, traveling all around the world to get different perspective on what is a woman, but blah blah blah, was it's all very silly. So I don't see the problem with Hunter. seeing this clip of Matt trying to seek out the insight and opinion of African tribesmen, to decipher out the ever so complex question of what is a woman. When I would imagine that people in Africa probably have maybe a lot more concerning things to worry about, in their day-to-day life, seeing how they come from a different background, a different culture, and just a
All of
very
this is irrelevant.
completely
All of this is
different.
irrelevant.
Uh,
He wasn't critiquing how Matt Walsh was interviewing them or whatever. He specifically targeted them, not him, them.
oh, okay, but you
So
can see how.
addressing like the whole like oh, this guy, this is their function in the documentary thing, etc., is irrelevant to his statements that he had in the video.
Yeah, but you don't think it's a fair a stance to take to dismiss their ideas of what a woman is, since they're so detached from like our understanding of what a woman is in Western society.
In what sense? Do you like what do you base that on?
Oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can. How do I explain this? Um,
Well, the problem is the way the West conceives of what a woman is that it's universal, right?
the the West understanding of a woman is universal. What do you
They
mean?
try to make it
Oh,
universal, yeah.
um, I don't know about that. I do know that our understanding of what a woman is very much dependent on the times that we live in, and so forth. It's a social construct. I mean, like our understanding of it is very subjected and is very subjective, and we define it based on the amount of social utility that we feel as though that we benefit the most out of it. In Africa, they probably get the most social utility out of it from just believing that oh, woman, pussy, big booba, uh, big white hips, all that kind of stuff.
I
And
mean, I
we
would
gain the
say
most social utility
I
from
would
it
say,
from
funnily enough, I mean,
expand.
you're the one now who's doing like the essentializing of like all of Africa based on Maasai people, which is not
No, I
true.
mean, like if there are
You know,
some people in Africa that have adopted a similar understanding of what a woman is, then here in
similar.
Western
I
society,
mean, no,
then
there are
yeah.
people in Africa. There are like countries or tribes or peoples who have like wildly different conceptions of like gender. There are places where there are like multiple like third and fourth genders. I forgot which. I think it was in Sudan or Mali, where there were people who, if you become a widow, you change your gender to play like more of a masculine role. I think it was something like that. I mean, there are like a lot of mixtures of like what people perceive gender social functions to be. So I mean, I don't see the whole like painting all of Africa by like Maasai people. I mean, not to say that they are
Oh,
bad. Of course, they're just a people. They're one people in Africa. Africa is a very big and diverse place.
mhm. Yeah, no, I wouldn't doubt it. And if that's the case, I'll that's pretty cool. I'll take your word for it. But no, what I mean was, oh, what happened? Oh, never mind. No, what I mean was that uh, well, if anything, I could probably say that wasn't that what Matt's goal was? To go to Africa and try to paint this picture that oh well people from this part of the world all believe you know uh, that this is what a woman
In
was.
in in some sense, it's
What
like a dual. It's like a dualistic role. Like in on one hand, since they are people who at the time of the filming, they're like a nomadic tribe, so they don't actually like live in one specific set area for like all of time or whatever. Though most people, since it's like less of a tribe and kind of more of like an ethnic group, most people nowadays actually just live in like small villages and small towns, shit like that. Um, but the ones that still live like the nomadic lifestyle, the reason why they were interviewed is because since they are more like they are more like quote unquote like primitive looking, right? Like that's the function that they serve in the documentary. Therefore, um, they're closer to the root of humanity or quote unquote to the norm of humanity than the West is. Or like, oh, the West has gone too far. It's too detached. It's too etc. These guys,
Mhm.
you know, they don't have all this stuff going on with like social media and stuff. Therefore, they're more like authentically closer to the origin. Like that's kind of like the main function that it serves. And then the secondary function would be something like um, uh, these are like black people, you know, leftists or whatever in America. They claim to love black people, etc. We can have a video of, you know, a bunch of black people saying something that would defend leftists and get a reaction out of it, which is specifically this kind of reaction. A reaction that is not necessarily aimed at the creation of the documentary or even the context around the documentary, but specific dismissal of their understanding of like their own social structure and their ability to comment on social structures that exist outside of their own. Now, you can say that they don't understand it, right? You could specifically say that, hey, you know, I think maybe their understanding could be flawed based on like specific this or that. Maybe the way the interviewer was explaining it was like malicious to try to get a specific reaction out of them. But they specifically were targeted based on generalizations, based on like the lack of understanding of their culture, of their social structures, and they basically looked quote archaic, you know, to quote Hunter Avallone, the cock. Um, Therefore, we should be able to dismiss them, which is
Yeah, when it
literally
comes,
the primordial essence of like racism and like the post modernity, after
yeah,
modernity.
why should some random nomadic tribe of people from Africa have any kind of why should that be why should that hold any kind of weight when it comes to the understanding of women in general, especially in Western societies?
The understanding of women in general.
Well, okay, I'm Western societies,
Oh, and
like
like
more
Western.
specific. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. You could, for example, say these guys. As I mean, I don't know if you're listening to me. As I said, you could specifically say like, hey, those guys don't have like access to like quote authentic information. They haven't actually talked to like, you know, maybe the source that they're getting this information is malicious and goading them to a specific direction. They could have made these critiques. Um, and not only have the critiques not necessarily been targeted at them specifically, right, or the way they live, or the way they exist, or the way their culture is, but it also would have been centered around the process of production of the documentary itself, right? But if you want to say, for example, we want to like dismiss them because they exist outside of our context, therefore they wouldn't know anything about it. You could do that, technically speaking. I think it's a very like anti-knowledge like perspective to just say like everyone outside of our context should not comment on anything regarding our context. As I said, you could do that, and it would still not be based on racist stereotypes of like, you know, the archaic African tribesmen or whatever, the way Hunter did.
Oh, okay, right, but I mean, like, but it's just the way that uh, it it's just like this understanding of what a woman is. Um, it's okay. I remember being being a kid and being raised to to try to understand what what a woman is. Oh, a woman is a is a provider. They're meant to be docile. Subservient to the man. Uh, you know, childbearer, all that kind of stuff. And this is a kind of this is a kind of an understanding of a woman that um, this seems to be a kind of understanding that seems to track all throughout different types of people, types of cultures. Maybe not in the exact same way. There might be some varying differences here and there, but that kind of seems to be the most basic fundamental understanding of what a woman is. Like this isn't nothing new. Of course, you're gonna find some person in Africa, some person in Asia, somewhere in the Middle East that will all kind of have like this similar understanding of what a woman is. That's very essentialist. That has like biological ties to it, or just essentially rooted in a person's biological makeup or whatever. Like I just feel like that
I think you're
everybody
getting
to
too
an
bogged
extent,
down
and
in this. I think the whole women thing is completely irrelevant to like the subject of his reaction to the documentary itself. I'm talking about his targeting of the people. The whole women thing is just like irrelevant. It could have been about any other subject. It could have been about milkshakes or any other stupid shit. It being about like social structure stuff that is not necessarily like in a sense quote objective. That itself makes it like 10 times worse. But still, like I think you're getting too hung up on like the particularities rather than just addressing like the actual point.
okay. What is the point?
Bruh, the point the point is, as I said, that it's racist.
Okay, so it's racist to dismiss the opinion of some random people
It's
from
why he
Africa.
did it. It's why he did it.
Okay, let me just let me think.
It's not even just why he did it, it's also how he did it.
Okay. Again, the wording is spicy, I guess,
You
but
keep
I
saying the word is. Here's the thing, okay? When you use an adjective, right? There's a difference, complete big huge difference when you use an adjective to describe an object and when you describe a people, right? And specifically, his wording. How do I even say this? Like,
Yeah, he called them primitive. He called them archaic. Like, yeah, like,
yes. Here's the thing,
um,
right? He did so in a clearly derogatory manner, right? Like, as I said, the implication is three ways. One, there's a hierarchy. Two, he's higher on the hierarchy, and three, there's some kind of like objective standard within this hierarchy that people can either adhere to or be judged on, etc. Right? And as I said, to basically view other people's um, as lesser than or like basic, unsophisticated, unchanged, unchallenged even. Um, that is literally, um, yeah, that's fucked up.
uh, okay, sure, like,
That is, as I said, like
but
that's the primordial essence of racism. That's not even, or like yeah, that's the primordial essence of like civilizational racism. That's literally what they would teach, like colonial officers, fucking in schools or whatever, to think like this. And honestly, I think like a good bit to why maybe people don't understand it is that he doesn't have a British accent. If he said all of the things for word, but in a British accent, people would immediately understand like, oh, well, what's going on or whatever.
I don't know. I don't know about that. It's just
Okay, okay.
the the primordial understanding of racism.
Of civilizational
It's
racism, yes.
Yeah, and I know that's a very interesting concept to kind of wrap my head around right now. Yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel as though if I was put down somewhere, let's say if I was like somewhere in the Amazon rainforest and I came across a tribe over there, um, and I saw that the way that they lived and whatnot. Um, while while I don't believe that I would hold any kind of deep rooted animosity or anything, I would get like this intuitive sense that compared to compared to my life, the way that I live, and the kind of knowledge that I'm able to be exposed to and whatnot, I would in that sense, I guess feel like this sort of sense of um, I guess it's kind of yucky to say, but some sort of sense of like superiority, over them, because like the kind of life that they live, like I would feel like absolutely uh, just distraught, to live in that kind of way. But I don't know, maybe if the roles were reversed, and those one of them were to come into
Oh God.
my society, and like maybe they would feel the exact same way. I don't know. Um, but
I mean, you're just
I
telling.
just
Okay, so you're telling me that like you're not racist. You're just a nice person. What's the value of this? What does this bring to the debate?
well, well I'm still just trying to connect the dots between what Hunter is saying, and him showing and this showing that he's racist. I mean, like I just
Here's the thing, okay?
it's not clicking with me.
Archaic African mud hut tribesmen. Like the mud hut. Here's the thing, okay? You know Hollywood. You know movies, right? You've seen movies at some
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
right?
I've seen a few.
Do you not know about the whole like stereotype of like just Africans being like these like ooga booga people who like bang on drums all day and just like they dress in like
Yeah,
a
but that's in reference to black people in America.
wait, you don't think the racism applied to black people in America applies to black people in Africa?
The reason why white people did those types of things in the movies and the minstrel shows and whatnot was
Yeah, because they're
to
savage brutes who are uncivilized. You don't think that's what they also thought of people in Africa?
I don't think white people in America concerned themselves all that much what black people were doing in Africa. They were concerning themselves with what black people were doing in America.
They concerned with both,
The-
bro.
you can't separate the two in this
Wait,
sense.
wait, what do you mean you
Where do you
can't
think they were
separate?
getting the slaves?
Oh, okay. Are you? Oh my God. Are
Here's
you
the thing:
okay?
the
Now are
racism
we talking about white people back from the 1600s, or white people in the 1900s?
in the 1900s. I mean, the racism that exists in America
Okay,
is important.
what white person in America was thinking about some random tribes people in Africa? Who?
Yes, where do you think stereotypes are born from? Do you think like the racism that exists on America is entirely like unique to America? No, it was imported from Europe.
Oh,
It
okay.
applies to black people in Africa, so the same, not necessarily the same way, but it also applies to people who are in America. The content is the same. The character is different.
Okay. What?
My God, man, he literally specifically calls them archaic. I pointed out in the debate that he metaphysically isolates them in a bubble in the past, as if they are people who existed like thousands of years ago, and not people who exist in our like moment. And he specifically said that these societies, quote, are the contemporary societies, and he called them archaic. And in his example, he used he used specifically the wording of superior, like a superior civilization. This is specifically the thing I said about like why leftists and liberals, they 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 love to like LARP as detectives whenever some right winger says something racist. But whenever it's one of their own saying something racist, they just play aloof. They just like pretend like, oh, what is context? What is a stereotype? What is a thing people say? I don't know. What is a tone?
Okay. You don't think that there might be a slight difference between someone like Steven Crowder basically doing a
No,
minstrel
No,
no.
show and
they,
I
they,
have a
there is
question
in.
for you, Bravo. I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
okay, what's up?
Why did Hunter use the analogy of the advanced alien like race or whatever? Why did he do that?
Oh wait, are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Can you explain that?
No, no, no. I don't know why Hunter used the whole
It's
alien
kind of
aspect.
obvious why, because subconsciously that's how he views Western civilization. He sees them as advanced aliens, and the Africans are, to him, quote unquote, primitive mud hut dwellers. That's the racism. Unless it's a guy like Steven Crowder, like straight up doing like blackface or like using very cliche stereotypes, people like you don't understand what is racist and what isn't, unless it's someone like that. When it's someone like Hunter using like these slick analogies, you're like, oh, but he's like just he's playing games, he's making hypotheticals, he's giving examples. It's like, nah, bro, it's very obvious what he's doing.
Okay. And what what do you think exactly that he's trying to do with this alien hypothetical that
It's not what
that
he's trying to do. It exposes his
It's
subconscious.
the
It
actual
exposes what he really
yeah.
thinks. And that's vindication for all of us thinking that he's racist. Like, why not just stick to what you said instead of bringing in absurd hypotheticals?
Okay,
And
you think that it's
and
revealing
also when
some
you're
kind of
bringing that in, what
subconscious part of his brain because he used a hypothetical talking about
he used a
a superior.
hypothetical that drew direct parallels to a real world thing. He drew direct parallels, whether he intended to or not. He did.
Yeah, that he believes that
He's
that Western societies are more technologically advanced.
he
Have
thinks they are like advanced, to the point where like the Africans, they're like, to him, they're like quote unquote mud hut dwellers, and their opinions aren't of like the same level of value as someone from the West. That's what he thinks.
it
Like, why
is
would
that
he
not
draw
is
an absurd
it,
example? Like, why?
wait okay, hold on, repeat that.
Why would he make that example and draw the parallel the way he did if he didn't subconsciously think this?
If he didn't subconsciously think that uh that
The
Western.
West is the advanced alien civilization, and the Africans are, to him, quote unquote, mud hut dwellers, primitive people. Yeah.
Yeah, I just yeah, we live in completely different worlds. I mean, like, what
I
is
see.
that
So
subconscious?
you will justify it then. You
Really,
agree
so
on
you
my
just think it's
and you
comparable?
justify
Like
it.
The kind of world that I live in Western society is vastly different than living in some part of Africa.
no, it's not just the kind of world, it's the type of creatures. That is also like inherent to like
Yeah, the
Wait,
type of
yeah.
yeah.
no, Hunter is not saying that we are some different biological species from
No
people.
one, no one said biological species. What Hunter said is, you guys are advanced, like societally,
Value,
technologically, whatever,
yeah.
so
Yes.
much. You're like on another like plane of being than these quote unquote like lowly Africans who live in mud. That's what he said,
W-
and he drew the parallel like to August, like in the debate. Like, why? That's clearly like him exposing his like subconscious beliefs or like private beliefs, maybe. Who
Or
knows?
maybe he's simply pointing out that yes, we do in fact, from Western societies to people living nomadic lives in Africa, that yes, the worlds that we live in are entirely fucking different. We have entirely different, completely different ways of viewing the world, the types of information that we're exposed to, the resources, the technology that we have access
But
to. Yes,
that's
the
not
worlds are
how he
completely
that's not
different.
how he framed the argument. He called them primitive mud hut dwellers. Language like that just tells me what you really think about a people. It's very
Okay,
obvious
yeah, yes,
to anyone.
yeah, he views uh their way of life as probably much more subpar to the way that he's used to living his life. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, then he's racist. Yeah.
that's not racist. That's
Yes, it
just
is racist. No, no, don't minimize what he said. He views them as like a backwards people because of their lifestyle. That is racism. That's like civilizational racism. Yes.
it, it might be what's the word? Um
It's civilizational racism. Yeah. Hunter
civilization.
will probably look at some culture from like some part of Asia and then he'll be like, "Oh, they look at these backwards people doing like X and Y," because like we Westerners, we don't do this. We're like too
Yeah,
good.
how do you think colonial
That's the way he
officers
thinks.
thought?
That's
Like,
all of you like liberal, like what, like Western, like liberals think, like deep down.
Okay. Entertain me here for a moment. Let's say that you were able to go back in time to like medieval Europe. You're like right in the middle of the Black Plague. Children, women, men dying left and right. Uh, you know, sanitary regulations all out the window. Uh, people are eating good food. Technology is very primitive for the time. Would you look um, at that time period, at that place in time, and think to yourselves, I can see that that these people here are having a tough time, and whatnot, but the way that that I used to live, back in the 21st century, it's not really
Do
all
do
that
you
different
notice
from
that
where.
you just invoked like time travel instead of just addressing like what's happening in the real world right now? Like, why
as I
can't we
said,
stick
these are
to
not
like
people
shit
from the
that's happening
past.
right here, right now,
Yeah, these are not
instead of
people
like
from the
absurd
past.
hypotheticals?
They live in this very moment that we live in.
Yeah, they live right now, right now.
Besides, I mean, if you you know global trade and because of like how interconnected the world is, there is like a certain global context that kind of exists because of like how interconnected we all are. Like, how do you pick and choose like who's removed from this context and who isn't? Like, who gets to do that?
I, I don't know. Whoever has like the most influence in the world, what really keeps it going, who makes the most headwaves, who has the
I
most
see, yeah.
eyes on, I guess. Like,
So that's what you okay. So you're like a chauvinist then, right? Like a Western chauvinist?
uh sure, man, whatever.
I mean, that's bro. You gave me the fucking thing. I just put a label on it. Yeah. Like I don't get why this like no dude. Not even like fucking even like your crowd, like your people's crowd. Like BreadTubers called him out on this. Like this is was it was so like viscerally racist. I think the only guy who will defend this is probably like Destiny. He's like retarded on these things.
Or he
Yeah.
just wants to be like edgy to get views. But like this
Yeah. It's like
specifically,
contrarianism. It's like,
yeah,
bro, come on.
like this is you have to like literally abstract yourself. Okay. Let's do a game, right? What is the difference? So he said all the shit that he said in that specific tone, right? And then he abstracted away from that. He said, "Oh, maybe I should not have said the word archaic or whatever, because it's literally one of like the most damning wording, word choices that he did there, right?" And he said, "Oh, well, maybe I should not have used it." What is the difference between like abstract? Sorry. He tells us to abstract from the tone, right? Like, oh, forget the tone, right? And then forget the wording, right? And then he post hoc uses definitions that he finds on like some specific website. He uses those definitions to go, oh, well, actually, when I was doing this like little my little racist rant, I was actually appealing to those definitions that we both intuitively know. Like, let's be real, we both intuitively understand. When he was saying that, he was not thinking of the definitions that he got from that website or from that one travel agency website that he constantly brought up, right? Like, we intuitively know this. This is not how language and communication works, right? He had a specific meaning. He got caught red-handed, so he ran away to this other meaning in attempt to abstract it. So, as I said, there's two layers of abstraction here. What is the difference between him basically saying that, right? And what if he, like, for example, on stream just writes the word and just writes the N word, right? Nigger, and then he puts it on the screen and then says, that's not the N word. That's just the letters N, and then the letter I, and then two G's, and then a letter E, and then a letter R, and then a letter S. Those are just normal letters that exist in the English language. Why are you guys so pissed? It's just letters on a screen.
Uh,
Do you understand
oh,
like that? Like it's when people just abstract away from their speech up until that level, that it just becomes really stupid?
Yeah, sure. Okay. I'm not trying to abstract anything away from what Hunter's saying. Like, I'll bite the bullet that that maybe that, like, the words they use, like, archaic, primitive, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. Like, that sounds uh that sounds bad, I suppose. But
No,
when
but
we're
here's the thing.
talking,
You will say, oh, those words were bad, but his intentions actually were not necessarily that bad. And okay, I would be like, maybe that's fair if I actually talked with him and then he actually revealed that he wasn't actually racist. And he maybe just had like the most unfortunate combination of tone and word usage in, like, history. I would understand that. But in his conversation, in our conversation, he abstracted away from it. He ran away from it. He doubled down when it came to like the word like primitive, and then he accidentally slipped up and then admitted the context that I was accusing him of, the fact that he's taking them away from the present, putting them in the past as a manner of like not just judging them, like value judging them as a people, but also dismissing entirely their contributions to like let's just say global conversation, anything like that.
oh, okay. I'm just curious. When you think of the present today, 2022, when you think of the present, do you think of some random nomadic tribe in Africa that are living in huts and, like, all that kind of stuff?
In what do you mean?
Just like your general thoughts on the present today in 2022, like, is that like the first thing that you think of when you think about now and today? You think of some random
The
tribe in
present
Africa
the
living in huts.
present depends very differently on where you are from, which like areas in which countries you're from, what kind of media you are exposed to, what kind of like people you are exposed to is very different for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. So wouldn't it be understandable for Hunter to look at said tribe from Africa and compare it to his understanding of what the present is, where he lives in Western society, and think that the way that these people live are in fact primitive and archaic?
Okay, and to that I would ask him, is that okay? What is then the standard? Because you can't say some people are advanced and then some people are de-advanced. I don't know what the opposite word of advanced is, right? And then not have like something in the as a like standard default quote unquote of society in the 21st century. So I'd ask him like, what is that? What would that even look like? Like who gets to like judge or create what that is?
Uh, I don't think any one particular person, needs to come up with some sort of
I mean, you don't need
perfect
to come
standard
up
of what
with
the
it. Here's the thing: you don't need to come up with it, but you need to show like what is a quote default society looks like for these people to lag behind that.
um. Okay. Maybe for instance, I don't know. We can maybe
Because
brainstorm
here's the thing:
something.
you can't set your own society.
Maybe some like basic human rights. Maybe
Basic
not.
human rights. What?
Yeah. Like, maybe not
What?
uh doing, like, genital mutilation of
I do not
girls, or
believe in human rights.
not believe in human rights. Very
Yeah,
positive.
we don't believe in human
There
rights.
is no universal human right.
The fuck kind of shit
We
is
are
that?
we are
Yo,
well beyond that. We are
I,
well
I, I
beyond this Rousseau, Enlightenment shit.
Rousseau.
uh,
Yeah, fuck that.
all right, very cool. No. Oh, okay. Well then.
I mean, how
So
can
I
you
guess,
be?
like,
No, explain to me, like in a temporal sense. Like, how can you be the center, quote, like the default, but also be advanced?
how can we
Precisely.
how can we be the center but also advanced? Okay, yeah, no, that doesn't make too much sense. Um, Wait, no, I don't think I'm even trying to argue that. No, like I said, I mean, like, I'm definitely not going to be the one that's going to come up with some sort of universal standard for every society to aspire to. But in my humble subjective opinion, I do believe that we should all come to a point, um, as a collective in the world, that we should aspire to uh, all obtain some basic degrees of a protection, and well-being. I would like to see gay people not get thrown off roofs in the Middle East. I would like to
What the fuck
not
are you
see
talking about? What does any of this have to do with what we're talking about? You do understand there's no
Like,
such thing as
yeah,
a universal progression or advancement, right? That some of the most, quote, like technologically advanced societies like Victorian England imposed some of the most backwards, like in a liberal sense, like some of the most regressive, awful views and laws on societies of their own, right? In Polynesia, there are societies where it's like they have a completely different understanding of gender, where there are multiple, more than one gender, right? Where they enforced on them a strict gender binary. Same thing happened in India. In Islamic areas, they enforced the view of homosexuality being seen as a mental illness. There's no like such thing as like universal progression. Like this doesn't this literally doesn't make sense.
there's no such thing as universal